Hey, BATT Family. Welcome back to another Kickstarter preview for Ivy Games. They sent us their new Fractured Sky related things, and so we're here to talk about them. Scott, how you doing?
Doing good. Had a nice night last night.
It was a good time.
It was a good time, and it has snowed in the area, so it was an interesting little bit of a drive in, especially in your neighborhood.
Oh, our neighborhood is always snow-based apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jason, for the first time in about a year and a half, we are doing a remote with one of the hosts, and I'm excited to have you on and just testing this generally. So how are you doing?
Yeah,
man?
hopefully it works out well. I'm doing pretty good. Had to go ahead and catch up on some errands today, and just the logistics of everything made it a little bit easier to remote in this way. So Hopefully it sounds good for everybody out there.
You sound great in my head, so.
But so do the other voices, Scott.
Yeah, well, I mean, now he gets to compete with them.
So we are here to discuss Soar, the new small box bidding game set in the Fractured Sky universe, and in the same line as Graft, Pillars of Fate, and Time to Panic. So if you have an idea of what those boxes look like, that's what Soar is like. So not a ton of components, but really interesting gameplay. So let's get into how the game plays, and then we'll discuss all that. Soar is a bidding game for 2 to 5 players, and depending on the number of players, you're going to set out a number of quest cards. And the quest cards are going to have 5 spaces on each one, and again, these are prototype components, so all these symbols, values, all that can change. You are going to have 3 tokens in your hand, up to 6, depending on if you've earned any from quest rewards further in the game, but you will always have at least 3 tokens in your hand, and you will play 2 of them on your turn. Depending on how many players are in the game is going to be how many active quests there are, but again, there will always be minimum 3. Then when you're playing your tokens onto a quest, you can either play them face down if there's no icon, or face up if there is an eyeball icon. Then you're going to take one of your 3 airships, and you're going to choose one of the 2 tokens you just played to claim ownership of. That means that you will always be saying, this one is mine, and that one is not. What's important is you're only able to claim a token when you place it. So any tokens that are not claimed become the ownership of the Skyborn. We'll cover the Skyborn in a moment, but that's the general thrust of the game. You are going to have tokens in your hand. You will play them on the quests. When the quest is fully complete with 5 tiles on it, you will then score it out. And whoever is in first will earn the first place reward, which could be positive, could be negative, could be all variety of things. Second place and last place. So depending again on player count, that could be whoever's in third, or it's going to be whoever's in 4th or 5th. And that means that those middle back ranks get nothing. So it actually does expand and change based on player count in that way. When a quest is resolved, the Skyborn is going to most likely, if it ends up one of those ranks, they are going to end up having points scored to it. And the Skyborn through the course of the game is nothing. But importantly, when the game ends, and that happens once all the quests are resolved, whoever has the lowest earned score will switch scores with the Skyborn. So it gives this interesting tactical decision space of, I'm not doing really well. Do I want to tank myself and become the Skyborn, or do I want to tank the Skyborn so whoever has to switch with it isn't going to get anything? But that's the game. It's really that straightforward of put out a couple tokens, pick one to be yours, score them out when the opportunities come up, and then score everything at the end. It is a 15-20 minute game, very easy to pull out, and not a ton more to speak to than that. All right, so learning curve and easy to teach. Frankly, the rulebook is clean, it's clear, it's well laid out. It takes all of, what did I just do, 2 minutes to actually teach the thing? How did it feel to learn it?
I mean, for me, I think it was a great learning experience because in all honesty, you explained the rules very, very well and how the gameplay works. I think this is one of those great games of you really learn how to play the game by playing the game. Mm-hmm. You learn by doing. It was a lot of fun. I thought it was a great ease of learning it. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I think it was fairly easy. I would put it on the same level of Graft, of being very quick and running through maybe one round of it, and you got a pretty good handle on it. So all in all, this thing is very quick and easy to teach, very quick and easy to learn. Simple as that.
My last note here is that if you know Fractured Sky, you're going to see why this is in the Fractured Sky universe. There are very clear connections, but if you've never played the big one, it's not going to harm you at all in this. It's still just a bidding game. Artwork, components, and iconography. So again, all this is prototype. So this is, subject to change, but this feels pretty final from what we've seen.
Yeah.
As is normally the case with an IV prototype. I like the art here better than I do in Fractured Sky because it's significantly reduced. You've essentially used the islands on each of the quest cards that are the same art as Fractured Sky. The ships are a reduction in size to these cool wooden pieces,
but it's still very much a graphic
Yeah.
style of the actual 3D model ship that you get in the main game.
Yes.
Yeah, there's clear representation of each faction in there.
So I don't really have any issues here. I know the prototype that we have has these plastic tiled racks for you to put your stuff on. These are, at least in the limited edition, going to be upgraded into wood, and I think that's going to be great. I didn't have a ton of issues with these prototype ones, but they are light. They did fall over eventually, so I think that's the point of upgrading those.
They're a thinner plastic, so I mean, it can be very easily accidentally damaged.
Yeah.
That'd be my thought.
That's
Ivy,
fair.
and Ivy likes to have durable quality things.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see that upgrade, but I mean, the iconography is straightforward. It's white and yellow for positive. It's black and red for negative. If there's an eyeball, you put it face up. If there's not, you put it face down. I mean, there's not a ton of iconography here, and what is here is just readable and easy.
Yeah.
It does evoke kind of that light and airy adventure part of it too, so I think it does still capture that feeling that Fractured Sky has, at least with like the font and the filigree you see there, and the wooden token that they're going to go ahead and have for our third-party ship.
The Skyborn
is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Same here. It really does. It feels like it's a different version, but very much a distilled version of Fractured Sky. I love it.
Based on the pricing of the other ones, and I don't have the pricing for Soar in front of me, but based on what the other small boxes were, this is a really good taster for big Fractured Sky.
Yeah.
So if you want to see like what is this experience kind of like, I think you're going to be able to get that here.
Yeah, very much so.
Replayability and player count. I think it's high.
Yeah, 2 to 5. That's a great player count. And replayability, I mean, there's lots of random numbers, different strategies to try. I mean, like, Jason was very smart in our gameplay. He knew you and I were going to go at each other's throats, and he went for being last.
I think the replayability here is very good because it does what all great small games do of, you don't have a ton of components, but there's still, 32 bid tokens that are going to be used. 10 to 15 generally based on the amount of quests are going to be active at any given amount of time. Then they're going to go back in the bag.
And the time frame, you're looking at 15, 20 minutes. I mean, 30 maybe if you take a long time with the teach, but you don't need to. I mean, when we got done, I was like,
Again?
Yeah. Because it doesn't take that long.
No. And as far as the player count goes, because you have more quests from more people, it just means that they're going to run out faster. Mm-hmm. So it's going to keep the game like generally tied in. But I like that idea of, oh, hey, we're playing a 4-player game. I came in third. Oh, I didn't get anything. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Because again, the whole Skyborn thing of, I don't have any points. Well, if nobody is below you, which is possible to earn negative points in this game, then you're going to get the Skyborn's points. So there's some really neat things that happen based on player count. And again, I don't think it really changes much in the way of time or anything like that.
And for me, this solves some of the age-old problems with having that high variability stakes game of, well, I pulled this and I'm just going to be super unlucky about it. This solves that by having your Skyborn there because you can bid on your bad luck of, I'm going to tank myself because I'm going to try to prop up Skyborn as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And that I absolutely loved because a lot of the games that we've seen that are, at least in the genre, I have come to say that I would want to strategize as much as possible to better myself, and I just get to the detriment of what gets flipped over or what gets pulled and whatnot. So this was a huge boon for me, and replayability of this made me more excited to be able to go ahead and do this because it also throws in a separate strategy for you to do instead of just trying to outmaneuver by betting yourself a little bit better in the long run. You could bet a third party and potentially take that one over. Is awesome.
Mm-hmm. So we've already kind of touched on what's to like and what's to dislike, so let's keep on with that conversation. And I agree with what Jason was saying, because even though you are always going to have 3 tokens and you're always playing 2 of them, that means that you always have a little bit of option of how you want to play, but also means that you're going to be refilling your hand frequently enough. And if you're able to earn those special tokens that are a wider number range, or they could be worth points or a variety of things. We had one particular quest come up in one of our plays where I had put the -3 down, I think, and then you made it -4, and it was absolutely in my benefit to be last because I ended up getting like 6 points out of it. And it was just really funny to do that. And so the fact that the game has that almost accidental joy of how are these, like, it's not a huge set of powers out there. It's adding numbers or doubling rewards or something, because I think that was another one is the rewards got doubled. And it's just, for being as few moving parts as there are, there's just good decision and there's enough funny moments and enjoyable moments that get packed in, again, in a 15-minute game.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits was that.
Yeah, very much so. Because it was one of those things that's like, okay, I'm going to try to do this because I want to see if and it didn't work. I laughed about it because it's like, oh, I thought I had you, and nope, didn't work. And then, like, I wasn't trying to mess with Jason, but I ended up doing it. And it was just great. I loved all the little aspects of it. I know, like, the first 2 rounds for me, like, I kept getting really, really high numbers, so I was stuck having to be an attack person. I had to go full bore to try to score points. But it was like, you can shift very, very quickly. You really, really can. It's really neat.
And even if you're stuck in high numbers, you're only going to be able to claim one of them on a turn.
Yeah.
And so now you're figuring out, how am I going to use those for the Skyborn? Because again, am I trying to set Skyborn up to be good or bad? And if you are not careful and you're like, oh, wait, nobody claimed anything on this, then the Skyborn gets double rewards because it gets the first and the last place. I really like that about this game. And the fact that every quest, the rewards are different, the placement of which spaces and how many spaces had the visibility icon. Like, there's just good decision space here.
I really, really, really like, and I can't stress this enough, even with 3 reallys, but the fact that depending upon how you rank in the end of the quests, it's not always first gets best, second gets okay, third gets worse, so on and so forth. It is varied among those, which makes it just a whole nother tier of interesting on what you really want to vie for. If you want to go up and get this extra piece here, or if you want to tank yourself to go and get more points, that makes it so much more interesting than just everybody's trying to race to get to first.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the cards right now, and the fact that, like, we have one where first place only gets 3 points, but they get a bonus token. Second place actually gets the most amount of points, but then on another card, second place loses 3 points, but still gets a bonus token, so they could affect their game the next round.
Well, and again, if they're shooting for tanking themselves
Yes.
out, not only am I lowering myself to be in line with Skyborn, now I'm getting a fancy token that might give me points.
Yeah, it's so smart.
Yeah.
I know when it first, I was like, okay, why wouldn't I? Oh, I don't want first place in all of these. Oh, I want to shoot myself in the foot.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there like, yeah, I'm going to take this -3. Okay. Oh,
Yep.
you took worst one. Great. You got the points. What did I get?
Yeah.
I love it.
The other sub-strategy that I really like, and I don't know if we've quite touched upon it yet, is when you're trying to either raise up yourself or raise up Skyborn in particular, you're actually playing almost a duality of 2 different players against the other people that you're playing against, which is really, really interesting, because maybe if I'm playing for myself, then I can go ahead and get more points, but maybe I'm going to try to go ahead and give more to Skyborn to be able to go ahead and get those points and that bonus piece, so that my opponents cannot get that, which makes it infinitely more interesting to kind of weave together. And you playing both characters, but everybody's playing both characters, is so intriguing.
It is.
My blind spot was I forgot that the points that I was putting into the Skyborn, because of how Jason was playing, Jason essentially was going to end up with those points.
Yes.
I didn't realize it till about halfway through, and I was like, oh no, I have to tank both these things.
Yeah.
That was the neat part, because then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to change strategy.
One of the interesting things is that it is technically possible to run out of airship tokens, because unless a quest fills, they're just out there. You can't move them. So if for some reason all 3 of yours are out there, then you are playing 2 tokens for the Skyborn. And it's, do I want to really go hard in one spot, or am I going to keep splitting them out? So it is another one of those interesting things of, do I want to try and keep my pieces out as long as possible so that way I can feed to the Skyborn, or do I want to try and resolve it so I can start claiming things for myself again?
Yeah, I know we pretty much were like, oh, cool, there's only one left. I'll at least finish this up and I'll start this one. We did that a lot, but it would have been interesting to see that strategy come along. That would have been very interesting. I'm sure that probably happens a little bit higher player count more than it would have done with our 3s.
Yes. So for what's to dislike, as much as we have talked up the positive of Skyborn, and it's very interesting, what I have seen over my plays is it can be very easy to intentionally tank the Skyborn. It's easier to do in a higher player count game because everybody can go onto one quest and the Skyborn isn't even there. Right?
True.
And what we both realized in the one play was, oh man, Jason is going to be cleaning up. He will have more points for us than when we switch into Skyborn. So we need to start throwing some negative points in there and washing it out. And so the game does have an ability to feel targeted in a way that a lot of the other IV games don't. Even Fractured Sky doesn't feel that way.
Right.
Because if you can see, ooh, this is where somebody's going, and I guess this is really only visible in Veiled Fate if you clearly figure out who somebody else is, of, you're this person, I'm now going to start screwing with you. If you can tell who is going to end up as the Skyborn, it can feel like you're attacking that person when it is in your benefit, unless you are the one trying to get Skyborn in your pocket, to have it be low.
I think you could try to, but I think also to really do it, it really depends on what tokens you have, because the numbers are going to be random. You're not always going to have a low number to sit there as like, I'm going to give this negative to the Skyborn, or I'm going to give this low number to the Skyborn. It's not always a guarantee, but it could feel that way.
For a player like myself who always wants a lot of player agency, if this game were 45 minutes, I wouldn't like it because I would get annoyed at the random numbers. But again, it fits in that 15 minutes. It is that filler weight. It gives you all these decisions in that small amount of time with such low rules overhead. It doesn't bother me. But if you are that player that's like, oh my God, I am always at the mercy of what I'm drawing. If you like Iliad, you should like this game. But if you played a game like Iliad and you're like, this is miserable, you're going to feel that same way, I think, here.
That is a really good parallel. And I felt a little bit as to what you guys were saying with the targeting. In the beginning, obviously, I made it pretty clear what I was going to be trying to do. And it felt like you guys are like, all right, well, you're going to tank yourself, you're going to build it up. We'll see how well that goes. And as the game progressed halfway to maybe 3/4 of the way through, you guys did realize, oh crap, Skyborn's actually getting a lot of points. So we're going to have to start haranguing that a little bit. And so at a couple of areas, it did feel like the decision of, okay, well, Jason's not playing for himself, so he's going to be playing for Skyborn. We're going to need to go ahead and slow down Skyborn a little bit for us to go and have a chance. So that strategy really, you can't just go full bore into Skyborn. And I feel like that leads a little bit into some of the things that they do for like Veiled Fate and whatnot, where you don't want to be too heavy-handed in it, and makes it even more cool strategically of you don't want to say, oh, I'm taking all these negatives, because that was my strategy. And you start quickly realizing that that's not going to pay out as well. However, if you try to balance it out and give yourself some while maybe feeding in, you could try to go and essentially pull the wool from people's eyes and end up being the victor for Skyborn. It just adds a cool complexity to it. You just can't be too heavy-handed in it, and if you are, then it does feel like you have maybe some people ganging up on you. And while that can go and feel negative, as you said, in a longer game, since this is so short, it doesn't feel as heavy-handed, it doesn't feel as upsetting. It's the last maybe 2 or 3 rounds or whatever that all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, all right, I'm getting dogpiled on. But it's okay, because it's a 15-minute game, and I'm not that worried. I didn't spend 3 hours to go ahead and get hamstrung by it, so it's okay.
Because you're not going to overtly go, well, I guess I'm going to go for the Skyborn, just like you said, Jason. It was one of those things of...
Our first play, it was, oh, I think I'm going to try this, and then future plays became, I'm not going to be as announcing.
Yeah, you're going to try to have that nice little strategy of keeping up with everybody.
My other complaint, and this is a silly one to be fair, but we have played Awakening quite a bit actually, and the Skyborn ship of the flagships is the weakest of the 5. It's cool looking, but it's not the coolest, and at least of time of recording where it is in development, it's the least interesting ship. And so you're looking at it like, but why aren't we using Voidmaw or one of the other ones?
Yeah.
Like, it's a cool looking ship. I get it. And it's the colors of Fractured Sky. You know, it's purple and white. And oh no, not purple for Mark. But, you know, the other flagships are more interesting.
I think for Skyborn, at least for me, since I look at it from a thematic sense, with its abilities, it's one of those that it's kind of upping the skimmers, right? That's the main ability in Awakening.
Yep.
I feel like since essentially it's sending out skimmers to do other things, it's almost like Skyborn is a cool one to go ahead and put out there, because essentially Skyborn is sending out people to do different quests, and that's what the bonuses and the minuses that you're getting are, is thematically speaking, I think it makes sense for Skyborn to be the one.
That's a good call.
Great call, Jason. That was a beautiful parallel. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Thank you.
Final thoughts here. This is a preview. This is a non-finished copy, so we're not going to score it, but I really enjoy this. This is one that's going to be coming out. I will definitely be getting played in a few weeks at MacWagCon. I just flat out really enjoy this. Of the small boxes, this is actually my favorite of them so far.
Completely. This might be, when it actually comes out, one of those things I bring in my backpack when I know I'm going to go to go to Victory Roll, or I'm going to go to a friend's house, or I'm going down to Fort Wayne to visit friends. This one will probably always go with me because I was very satiated when we were done with this game.
Yeah.
What do you got, Jason?
Yeah, I hard agree with Scott when it comes to being able to grab this, go ahead and take it elsewhere, especially like when we say Victory Roll, or we say go out to another friend's area. Like, this is a quick, fun game that you can go out and play with a smaller group of friends, and I absolutely will go ahead and put this on my shelf, in a shelf table or trade. It's definitely going to be a shelf.
This is a shelf.
It's a shelf for me as well.
The other really good thing we didn't talk about, which is its table space.
Very little.
It has a very nice, small, tiny table space, which I think that's another reason why it's like, this has got to come with me.
That is representative of Fractured Sky as a whole.
Yeah.
Is, for as grandiose as the production of Fractured Sky is, it's a small board. Yeah, you have your kind of oversized player boards, but for a game of what it's like, it could be much larger, and they transfer that here very well. Mm-hmm. My last note here is, this is a game that if you have family members that, like, they're bridge players, especially, or you have, you know, more lightweight, like, you know, we've played Azul and we've played whatever. This is a game you can put in front of a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people, because you've got a couple numbers. Put them out, pick which one you want to own. We'll learn the strategy of Skyborn over the course of the first game. Get it? Cool, let's play again. So this is one I feel like is really incredibly approachable in a way that, as much as I love IV, their games normally are.
You're absolutely correct.
So with all that, everybody, thank you so much for coming out to this Kickstarter preview. This is coming out with the Fractured Sky Awakening campaign on February 24th. You are likely hearing this on that day, so head over there. You can find the link to the campaign in the episode notes, and we will catch you on the next one.